Hey guys, welcome back to Lightwork HQ. Today we're talking about an essay that has been very hot on my mind. And that is my last week's essay, Dupe Culture, Counterfeit Culture, and the Politics of Access. Why people copy, buy dupes, and refuse to be locked out of luxury. Last week we talked about passing off, or the week before that rather, we talked about passing off, which is the legal doctrine that protects brands and businesses from others attempting to imitate their identity for commercial gain. This week I decided to flip the conversation from the producers to the consumers, because the producers on one end we have discussed the nefarious practices that producers have, but what are some practices that consumers have that also speak to the market? If you've walked into any Aldi shop, any Primark shop, you have seen a dupe. So this week I am using the product, the Stanley Cup, as a point of explanation. We all remember when the Stanley Cup became something. It started from the TikTok video where the lady had an accident, or a car accident rather, and the only thing that survived was the Stanley Cup. Soon enough, it became an item of status. Now, almost immediately, the market also flooded with dupes, because brands know, they all know that not everyone can access the same amount or the same quality of luxury even if they sell this. I remember very eloquently when I was in uni and I discovered that the same producers of Peak Milk, which is a brand in Nigeria, is the same company that produces 3 Crown. Now, we study this extensively in intellectual property and economics, and the topic we study is called market differentiation or product differentiation. How different consumers are catered to according to how much they are willing to consume and how much they are willing to spend for their products. Is also called the marginal propensity to consume. Now, the conversation here is that when we see dupes in the market, there's always a link between the consumer's nefarious intentions and harming the brand. And this essay is actually arguing the opposite, that sometimes it's not because of that. Why? We constantly live in a very violent capitalist world, and at the core of that is aspiration. No one wants to be left out. Let's be for real. No one wants to be the one who doesn't have a Stanley Cup. So if they can't afford a Stanley Cup, they're gonna buy a Stanley dupe. Now, one bit of this article that I find to be very, very serious what I'm talking about is the next paragraph here, where I say, if you cannot afford it, don't buy it. It's not a serious analysis. We've seen people address this from a place of moral judgment. If you can't afford the real thing, then don't buy it. But then let's be for real. How many people are on a wealth ladder? Many of us are not going to reach the wealth that we have deemed for ourselves, no matter how hard we work, because the system is broken. Yet, as broken as the system is, we are daily exposed to designer goods, cultured lifestyles, influencer aesthetics, and aspirational branding. So all of the pushes are there. If we tell people, rightly so, not to steal to be able to afford their lifestyles, they're going to cut their coats according to their cloth, and they're going to buy the dupes. And when that happens, society then acts surprised that consumers are trying to recreate the experiences that have been constantly dangled in front of them. Yet we live in a system that thrives on aspiration. Capitalism only works because there is always a subset of people that serve as an inspiration for the people below them. It's called classism. Next up, we have dupe culture in the fashion industry, which I think is the most affected industry by dupe culture. We have seen a lot of fast fashion coming into circulation that is a direct imitation of designer brands. Now we even have to ask ourselves the question, does fast fashion aid dupe culture? And the answer to that is yes. Now, with fashion, it's always, or it has historically been, difficult to assert intellectual property, because for eons, or for a very long time, fashion has heavily relied on inspiration, reinterpretation, trend cycles, and communal influence. With fashion, it has never really been about the idea, but it's always been about the execution. Design itself has also been very difficult to protect because many patterns are naturally occurring, silhouettes repeat historically, and aesthetics evolve collectively. We can't say that one single person is the originator of the stripe because the stripe has been around for a very long time. So dupe culture in the fashion space tends to thrive because it is already a space that is very shaky when it comes to protection, because these are the things that it is being built upon. Now, the final thing I want to say is that when we talk about regulations, when we talk about the law, and when we talk about stopping bad behavior, the law always needs to take account of human behavior, because governance without understanding is a joke. A teenager pirating a novel is not necessarily trying to harm the author. Whilst it is infringement on their copyright, this teenager is doing that because they cannot afford it. You tell people of the nicest shows going on and they don't even have the streaming services. When we talk about intellectual property and its economic implications, we must always look at the fact that certain intellectual property cannot be protected in areas that are already being discriminated against by the market. You have a lot of media, you have a lot of literature that is locked behind geographical accessibility, and then you want people not to try and get the same thing, that if they don't get them you will shame them for it. Let's be for real. People live in different countries, but we all meet in the village hall, which is the internet. And on the internet, no one wants to be laughed at or excluded. So people are gonna aspire to perspire and do the things that they can that put them on the footing of the internet, or what the internet is currently saying is chic or is in vogue. So there you have it, a rundown of a banger of an article. I really enjoyed writing that because it's one of the rare articles that culminates at the intersection of every discipline I work in: law, especially intellectual property, economics, and sociology. So if you're interested in that and like essays, please go to the link in my bio. I currently run 2 newsletters, one on the personal and one on the professional. Get involved. See you later.